In the 1940s, Glendale looked like a postcard. Clean streets, tidy homes, citrus trees catching the last light of day. But like many towns across California at the time, it carried an unspoken rule that didn't appear on any map. People didn't call it a sundown town out loud. They didn't have to. James Carter first noticed it when he got off the Pacific Electric train just before dusk. He'd come from Los Angeles for a job interview at a machine shop that promised steady work, something hard to find during the tail end of the Depression and the build-up to World War II. The man at the station didn't greet him, didn't even nod, just watched. James adjusted his hat and walked into town, trying to ignore the feeling that followed him, like he'd stepped into a place that had already decided something about him. He stopped at a small diner on Brand Boulevard. When he sat down, the waitress didn't bring a menu. "You lost?" she asked. "No, ma'am," he said calmly. "I've got an interview in the morning." She hesitated, then leaned in slightly. Her voice dropped, not unkind, but firm. "You should head back before dark." James frowned. "Why's that?" She didn't answer directly, just glanced toward the window where the sky was already turning orange. "They don't like outsiders staying late." That night, James tried to rent a room at a boarding house. The sign said vacancy, but the woman at the door barely let him finish his sentence. "No rooms," she said quickly, shutting the door halfway through his words. Across the street, a man watering his lawn called out, not bothering to lower his voice. "You heard her. Best be on your way." Another voice followed from a porch. "Sun's going down." It wasn't a threat shouted in anger. That's what made it worse. It was casual, routine, like reminding someone the store was closing. Stories like James's weren't rare. Throughout the early and mid-20th century, Glendale had a reputation, spoken quietly among black families in nearby Los Angeles, as a place you didn't linger after dark. Historians have documented that the city enforced exclusion not just through social pressure, but also through housing restrictions and discriminatory practices that kept black residents from settling there. Some neighborhoods used restrictive covenants, legal clauses in property deeds that explicitly barred non-white residents. Others relied on something harder to prove but just as effective: intimidation, policing, and the constant reminder that you didn't belong. Back in the story, James made it to the edge of town just as the streetlights flickered on. A police car rolled slowly beside him. "Where you headed?" the officer asked. "Back to Los Angeles," James replied. The officer studied him for a moment, then nodded. Good. That was it. No arrest, no shouting, just confirmation. Years later, people would say things had changed. And in many ways, they did. Laws shifted. Barriers became less visible. But the memory of places like Glendale lingered in stories passed down, quiet warnings shared between generations. Don't be there after dark. Not because of what was written, but because of what was understood. Today, Glendale is a diverse city, and many residents are unaware of that history. But accounts like these, drawn from documented patterns across Southern California and similar towns, offer a glimpse into a past that shaped where people could live, work, and feel safe. And sometimes, the most powerful part of that history isn't what was shouted. It's what was never said out loud at all.